Harlotry or prostitution, wine and new wine, take away the heart. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 11 is a transition verse that indicates a possible reason for some of the wrong done by the priesthood, as it ties back to the word stumble in verse 5 of Hosea chapter 4, which happened to signal their downfall. Verse 11 also hints at the next section on the prophet mourning the degenerate state of the people. Welcome to Presentation, Ponder, Practice. The prophet speaks for God. He says, "My people consult their wooden idol, and their diviner's wand informs them. For a spirit of harlotry has led them astray, and they have played the harlot, departing from their God. They offer sacrifices on the tops of the mountains and burn incense on the hills, under oak, poplar, and terebinth, because their shade is pleasant." Verses 12 and 13. This poem shows that the people consult a tree and offer sacrifices under those trees because the shade is good. Many omens were used to determine the future and the will of a God. Hosea presents omen seeking as foolish and debasing for a human who practices or participates in it. Spirit of harlotry points to both the sacred prostitution and the metaphorical practice of giving one's love to other gods. For the Israelites to go to temple prostitutes only led them further away from God. Wickedness is pursued because in some way it's fun, it feels good, or it brings some benefit. Their shade is good implies that the cults were in some way truly appealing to the people. Scenic views for worship, freedom from strict morality, promises and hopes of good crops, ensuring of health of children, flocks, and herds made false religion appealing. Consulting trees and stones with a piety and reverence that belongs to God alone was a tragedy for the nation of Israel. Therefore, verse 13b is a transition word going into a second poem which commentates on the first poem. Therefore, your daughters play the harlot, and your brides, or daughters-in-law, commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they play the harlot, or your brides, or daughters-in-law, when they commit adultery. For the men themselves go apart with harlots, and offer sacrifices with temple prostitutes. Verse 14b. When women do not value their virginity before marriage, their chastity after marriage, society is damaged. Punishment would not be given to the women any more than the whole nation would fall to the Assyrians. God was teaching a lesson that adultery is a sin for women, but it's also a sin for men. If men do not go to prostitutes for their services, then there is no need for prostitutes. Israelite men were going to harlots and engaging in sexual intercourse with temple prostitutes in the pagan worship. The last line of verse 14 is a proverb fragment, actually the second part of a proverb, on debauchery, which may go with verse 11 to give the whole proverb. So the people without understanding are ruined. My people has typically been used to refer to Israel, but here they are addressed as a people. God is saying that Israel is like any other nation to him. Dwayne A. Garrett, commentator in the New American Commentary on Hosea and Joel, summed up the comments on the situation with these words. The priests were not teaching the truth. The people were being led astray. And the men were educating the women in the ways of promiscuity. Thus, they were truly a people without understanding. A description of the debauchery of Israel shows that they were a living illustration of the senselessness that results from immoral behavior and the ruin that befalls a senseless nation. False gods give false hope, yet the false promises appeal to people. People love to hear what they want to hear. If being godly was easy, everyone would be godly. But those who mislead God's people invite special punishment upon themselves. The ungodly are responsible for their wicked ways. Not one wicked person is more or less responsible for the choices made than any other unfaithful person. Those who are spiritual leaders, though, have a greater responsibility because of their influence on the lives of the people. Avoid senseless living and immoral behavior. May God bless you and your influence on society.